Hello everyone and welcome to XJ DIY. Today we're going to be talking about installing a DirtBound Offroad replacement battery tray. As always, if you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It's always appreciated. So we have here our DirtBound Offroad replacement battery tray. You can see this unit here is made out of all metal. It's pretty nice and sturdy. It has accommodations for the battery temperature sensor, and it uses thread all versus the factory J hooks or T hooks, whatever your vehicle may have. And it comes with 1/4 inch hardware. I replaced the 2 top nuts on mine with some wing nuts just for easier access. This install should be pretty straightforward. I'm going to move on to the engine bay and show you all the removal process. The first thing you're going to do is disconnect the battery. Always start with the negative terminal first, then move to positive. I used a 13mm to disconnect my negative clamp and a 10mm to disconnect my positive battery clamp. This may vary depending on what clamps your vehicle has installed. Mine are just some generic ones from AutoZone. So next thing you're going to do is disconnect the battery hold down. So mine, you can see here, is broken. The J hooks right here doesn't have a nut on top of it, and this side here, the actual J hook is broken off on the bottom. I just have it crammed in there. So we're going to make sure we undo those. I'm going to use a 10mm on this nut or bolt right here, and since this side's already out, I don't have to mess with it. That hold down removed, your next step's going to be to remove the battery. Just make sure that you move your heater hose and everything out of the way. Alright guys, our next step's going to be to disconnect and remove the battery temp sensor. You can find this cable and this plug located right over here on your passenger side inner fender. It's kind of hard to see there, but just go ahead and unplug that. Alright, with that unplugged, go ahead and remove the sensor. You can do that just by pulling up, wiggling around a bit, or you can leave it in until after you get the tray out. So to remove the tray, we have these 3 bolts here, 1, 2, 3. We just need to remove those and the tray should pop right out. Okay guys, it's a 15mm to remove these nuts here. I hope yours are not stuck in there as bad as mine were. Had to get a pretty big ratchet and extension to get it out of there. With that said, now you just pull this joker out. And there she goes. Alright guys, with our battery tray removed, it's time to get ready to install the new tray. One thing you're going to have to do beforehand is assemble your rods here. So that's going to be nut, lock washer, washer, and then on the top side, washer, lock washer, nut, just so you can hold that rod in place. And do that for both rods. Alright guys, so we have the battery tray assembled and ready for installation. It's probably a good idea to do a dry fit of your battery. Just set it in there, take your bracket, set it on top of it. Just make sure that the thread all doesn't extend up too tall. Alright guys, one last thing before you reinstall your tray. Don't forget to put the battery temp sensor in there. I about forgot mine. It's just going to go back in the same way that it came out. Alright, with our temp sensor reinstalled, it's time to reinstall the tray. It's just as simple as putting it back down onto the 3 studs that are sticking up out of the fender well. Alright, so we got the tray placed back in. Do not forget to reconnect the battery temperature sensor. Now we're going to install the 3 nuts that hold the tray into place, reusing the factory hardware. So we got the battery tray reinstalled reusing the factory hardware. Just make sure not to tighten those nuts down too tight. If they're anything like mine, they're probably rusted and they break pretty easy. I just gave mine the good old snug until I didn't want to snug it anymore. Alright, so the next step was to drop the battery in. I went ahead and did that just due to it being so cumbersome. You're going to want to make sure that with the battery installed, you know that everything still has clearance. Your battery's not rubbing against the heater hose like mine is here. I'm probably going to get a little bit of shielding or something to prevent that from rubbing through. And you're also going to make sure you put the battery in the correct orientation. Positive towards the right side, negative towards the right side. Next step is going to be to install the hold down bracket. Alright, so like I said, our next step was to reinstall the hold down bracket. This can be a little difficult depending on the type of battery you have. I'm guessing on some AGM styles like yellow top, red top batteries and such, it going a little easier. Mine has the caps here to check the water level and everything in them. Made it a little snug, but the thread all had enough give in it to where I could position it in place. So, with that being said, pretty much done. Just going to put a washer on each of these, and I bought some wing nuts to use just because, like I say, I like having the ability to reconnect, or to get to my battery a lot quicker than if it was just a regular nut. Alright, with our wing nuts installed and everything tightened down, our next step is going to be to reinstall the battery clamps. Make sure you do positive first, negative second, and then tighten everything down. Once again, mine was a 10mm on the positive and a 13mm on the negative. Alright guys, that's it for the battery tray installation. I hope I put out some more videos for y'all to enjoy sometime soon. Thanks.